Emily Carter was the kind of woman neighbors in Seattle's Capitol Hill called blessed. At 34, she had carved out a respectable career as a marketing manager at a tech startup, her modest bungalow a picture of order. Hydrangeas blooming in the front garden, porch swept clean of autumn leaves, and a mailbox painted in cheerful teal. Her colleagues at Cascade Tech admired her calm efficiency, her ability to navigate high-stakes campaigns with a steady hand. Friends envied her resilience, the way she carried herself with quiet grace despite the weight of loss. But for 8 years, a hollow ache had shadowed her, a void no promotion or weekend hike in the Cascades could fill. Arjun Sharma, her Indian husband, had been the center of her universe, until a Mumbai police officer's call in 2017 claimed he was gone, burned to ash in a car wreck. Yet in September 2025, at a crowded cultural festival, Emily's world tilted. There was Arjun, alive, arm in arm with his stepmom, Meera Sharma, laughing as if the past 8 years had never happened. Emily's life had always been one of quiet ambition. Born in Portland, Oregon, to a schoolteacher mother and a mechanic father, she grew up in a modest ranch-style home, surrounded by books and dreams of seeing the world. Her childhood was marked by small joys, baking oatmeal cookies with her mom, fishing with her dad on the Columbia River, but also by a lingering sense of confinement. Portland's gray skies and predictable routines pushed her to seek more, to chase a life beyond the familiar. At Reed College, she majored in business, her sharp mind drawn to global markets. In 2012, at 21, a graduate exchange program took her to Mumbai, a city of chaos and color that reshaped her. It was there, in a bustling Kalaba cafe, that she met Arjun, a 29-year-old financial analyst whose warm smile and quick wit stopped her in her tracks. Arjun was unlike anyone Emily had known. He wore crisp kurtas with the same ease as tailored jeans, his dark eyes sparkling with intelligence as he helped her stumble through Marathi phrases over steaming cups of masala chai. She taught him American idioms, raining cats and dogs, hit the nail on the head, and their laughter filled the cafe, drowning out the honks of rickshaws outside. Arjun came from a middle-class Mumbai family. His late father, an engineer who died when he was a teen. His stepmom, Meera Sharma, a poised real estate developer in her 50s, had stepped into the role of matriarch, raising Arjun alongside his father's relatives. The Sharmas were traditional yet open-minded, welcoming Emily with plates of Veda Pav and stories of Mumbai's history during her visits. Arjun's fluency in Hindi, Marathi, and English, paired with his easy charm, captivated her. What began as a language exchange bloomed into love, a connection that felt fated despite their different worlds. Their courtship was a dance of cultures. Emily, with her Pacific Northwest practicality, learned to navigate Mumbai's crowded markets, holding Arjun's hand as he bartered for mangoes or explained the significance of Ganesh Chaturthi. He, in turn, marveled at her stories of Seattle's coffee culture and the rugged beauty of Mount Rainier. By 2013, Arjun proposed under a banyan tree in Mumbai's Hanging Gardens, his voice trembling as he offered a simple gold ring. "I want both our worlds," he said. Emily, tears in her eyes, said yes. Their wedding blended traditions. A quiet Seattle courthouse ceremony, Emily in a white dress, Arjun in a suit, followed by a vibrant Hindu wedding in Mumbai. The mandip, draped in marigolds, glowed under a starry sky as they circled the sacred fire, Emily's lehenga heavy with embroidery, Arjun's sherwani regal. The Sharma family embraced her, though Meera's commanding presence, organizing the rituals, directing caterers, felt both supportive and imposing. In Seattle, their Capitol Hill apartment became a cultural haven. The kitchen shelves held jars of cumin and turmeric next to coffee beans, the air rich with the scent of dal simmering alongside garlic bread. On weekends, Bollywood music drifted from their speakers, Arijit Singh's ballads mixing with Emily's jazz playlists. She learned to roll rotis, her fingers clumsy at first, while Arjun mastered grilling salmon for Thanksgiving, grinning as he carved the fish like a pro. Their marriage thrived on balance. Emily's analytical mind, honed by years of crafting marketing strategies, complemented Arjun's intuitive nature, his ability to read people honed in Mumbai's competitive banking world. Friends noticed their harmony, how they finished each other's sentences, how Arjun's hand rested lightly on Emily's back at parties, how she'd tease him about his newfound love for Seahawks games. She picked up Hindi phrases, stumbling over Tum Kai's ho, while he cheered Super Bowl parties, blending in her world. Yet beneath the harmony, tension simmered. Arjun's homesickness surfaced during Hindu festivals. At Diwali, he'd light diyas, his face soft with longing as he Skyped his cousins in Mumbai, describing the firecrackers and sweets he missed. Emily tried to recreate the traditions, buying sparklers, cooking gulab jamun, but couldn't grasp their emotional weight. "It's not just lights," Arjun said once, frustration creeping in. "It's family history." Her attempts felt hollow, her American pragmatism clashing with his cultural roots. Long calls with his family, especially Mira, left him quiet, his eyes distant. Emily felt a growing distance, as if part of him lived in a Mumbai she couldn't reach. Mira's visits to Seattle, twice a year, amplified the strain. A striking woman in her 50s, she arrived in silk saris, her gold bangles clinking, her perfume sharp. As a real estate tycoon, she exuded authority, her Mercedes rental a stark contrast to Emily's modest Prius. She brought lavish gifts, Kundan jewelry for Emily, single malt scotch for Arjun, but her generosity felt like a claim. She critiqued Emily's cooking, suggesting more saffron in the biryani, or corrected her pronunciation of Raksha Bandhan. During her stays, Arjun spoke more Marathi, his demeanor deferential, as if Mira's presence pulled him back to his childhood. Emily noticed their conversations, hushed, rapid, stopped when she entered. Mira's role as stepmom, stepping in after Arjun's father's death, gave her a hold over him that unsettled Emily. "He's like my son," Mira said once, her smile warm but her eyes sharp. "I protect what's mine." By 2016, their third year, cracks deepened. Arjun grew restless, his late-night calls with Mira more frequent, his tone guarded. He spoke of visiting Mumbai for months to care for his ailing grandmother, whom Mira was nursing. Emily, swamped with a major campaign at Cascade Tech, couldn't join him. Their conversations turned tense, Arjun's frustration spilling out. "You don't get how important family is," he said once, his voice sharp. Emily, hurt, felt him slipping away but couldn't name why. In October 2016, Mira called. Arjun's grandmother needed urgent care in a Mumbai hospital. Without hesitation, he booked a flight. "I have to go," he told Emily, packing a suitcase in their bedroom, his eyes avoiding hers. "It could be months." She offered to take leave, but he shook his head. "Your career's too important." "I'll be fine." Their goodbye at Seattle-Tacoma Airport was anguished. Arjun held her tightly, his tears soaking her scarf, as if he sensed a final moment. For weeks, they stayed connected via WhatsApp and Skype. Arjun described his grandmother's condition, the hospital's chaos, Mira's tireless support. He sent photos, Mumbai's crowded streets, a hospital corridor, his grandmother's frail hand. But by November, calls grew sporadic, blamed on time zones, hospital Wi-Fi, or exhaustion. By December, contact stopped. Emily's messages went unread, her calls unanswered. Panic gripped her. She called Mira's office, but a secretary said she was in Dubai, unreachable. Desperate, Emily contacted the U.S. consulate in Mumbai, who confirmed Arjun's arrival but found no trace beyond. She scoured social media, his LinkedIn dormant, his WhatsApp status blank. Fear turned to dread as weeks passed without a word. On a rainy January 2017 morning, her phone rang with an Indian number. Heart pounding, Emily answered, expecting Arjun's voice. Instead, Sub-Inspector Vijay Patil of the Mumbai police spoke in broken English. "Please sit down, Mrs. Carter," he said. A man matching Arjun Sharma's description was found dead in a burned-out car on Mumbai's outskirts, his wallet, passport, and a gold ring engraved with their wedding date confirming his identity. The car had veered off a coastal road, catching fire. The body, charred beyond recognition, was cremated per Hindu rites, ashes given to his family. Emily's knees buckled, the phone slipping as Patil's voice faded. Accident, no foul play, family handled rights. She sank to her kitchen floor, Seattle's rain a dull roar, her world shattered. Hours later, she called back, but Patil was unavailable. Another officer recited. Case MB 2017-392. Victim Arjun Sharma, U.S. resident. Cause, vehicular fire. Closed. No autopsy was possible due to the body's condition. Meera, listed as next of kin with power of attorney, had authorized cremation. I'm his wife, Emily shouted. Why wasn't I contacted? The officer explained Meera's legal authority, likely granted by Arjun before leaving, a detail he'd never shared. Emily's grief mixed with betrayal. How could he give Meera such power? Visa delays blocked her from flying to Mumbai. The consulate deemed the case closed, offering condolences but no answers. Meera, reached weeks later, sounded broken. Arjun was my son, she said, voice heavy. He was depressed after Grandma's death. He drove to clear his mind, like when he was young. The roads were wet. Emily, numb, couldn't challenge her. For 8 years, Emily mourned. She kept Arjun's kurta in her closet, its sandalwood scent fading. His photo sat on her nightstand, his smile frozen. She worked, dated briefly, but lived half alive, haunted by his absence. Friends urged her to move on, but grief clung like Seattle's fog. She wore his ring on a chain, a talisman of their love. Her bungalow, once vibrant with their laughter, felt like a mausoleum. She avoided Indian restaurants, the smell of curry too painful, yet kept a diya on her shelf, unlit but a reminder of him. Her career flourished, promotions, awards, but joy eluded her. She volunteered at cultural centers, hoping to honor Arjun's heritage, but the ache persisted. In September 2025, at Seattle's International District Festival, Emily wandered through stalls of dim sum and saris, the air thick with spices and music. A tabla beat stirred memories of Arjun dancing to Bollywood tunes. Then across the crowd her breath caught. Arjun, older, grayer, in a navy suit, walked arm in arm with Meera, her sari shimmering gold. They laughed, their ease shattering Emily's reality. She blinked, heart racing, questioning her sanity. Was it a ghost, a stranger, or a truth buried for 8 years? Frozen, she watched them vanish into the throng, her hand clutching his ring, the mystery of his survival, and Meera's role, igniting a fire she couldn't ignore. The coastal road where Arjun Sharma's car had supposedly burned was notorious for its treacherous curves, especially in Mumbai's monsoon rains. He wasn't himself after his grandmother's death. Meera Sharma, his stepmom, said over the phone in January 2017, her voice trembling with grief. He felt so guilty for leaving her to live in America. I should have stopped him from driving alone. She explained the police found no signs of suicide or foul play, just a tragic accident fueled by emotional turmoil, slick roads, and a sharp cliff. Emily Carter listened, her heart splintering in her Seattle kitchen, the rain a relentless drumbeat outside. The story fit Arjun, impulsive, sensitive, prone to carrying burdens he couldn't share. Yet doubts gnawed at her. Why hadn't he told her about his grandmother's death? Why'd he cut contact instead of leaning on her? These questions festered, but grief overwhelmed them, drowning her in sorrow and guilt. 8 years later, in September 2025, seeing Arjun alive with Meera at a Seattle festival shattered her reality, igniting a desperate need for answers that would unravel a chilling deception. Emily's life had been defined by Arjun's absence since that January call. In 2017, at 26, she was a rising marketing manager at Cascade Tech, but his death plunged her into darkness. Meera had said Arjun's ashes were scattered in the Ganges, per a letter he'd left, a letter Emily never saw. Her requests for a copy were met with excuses, lost mail, family disputes. The Seattle memorial was surreal, a gathering at St. Mark's Cathedral with Arjun's photo on an altar, his kurta draped beside a diya. Friends and colleagues offered condolences, their words hollow against Emily's refusal to accept he was gone without a proper goodbye. She stood before his image, whispering, "Why didn't you call me?" as tears fell, her hands clutching his wedding ring on a chain around her neck. The months after were a fog of despair. Their Capitol Hill apartment, once alive with Bollywood music and the scent of Dal, became a tomb. Arjun's books, Tagore's poetry, finance journals, sat untouched on the shelf, his cologne lingering in the air. Unable to bear it, Emily sold the place, moving to a stark downtown studio with bare walls and no trace of their life. Her work faltered. She missed deadlines, her once sharp pitches lackluster. Friends tried to reach her, inviting her to dinners or hikes, but she withdrew, their cheer a betrayal of her grief. At night, sleepless, she replayed Mira's words, the police's cold efficiency. Case MB 2017-392. Closed. Why had the investigation ended so fast? Why had Mira, not Emily, been listed as next of kin? The power of attorney Arjun granted Mira, unknown to Emily, felt like a secret he'd kept, a crack in their bond she hadn't seen. Doubts became her torment. She scoured old emails, WhatsApp chats, searching for clues. Arjun's last messages, terse updates about his grandmother, gave nothing away. Calls to Mumbai police yielded robotic responses. Sub-Inspector Patil was transferred, record sealed. The U.S. consulate offered sympathy, but no help, citing closed foreign cases. Mira, when reached, was evasive, her voice heavy with rehearsed sorrow. "He loved you, Emily," she said, "but he was lost to us all." The words rang hollow. Mira's control over the cremation a lingering wound. Emily's visa attempts for Mumbai failed, mired in paperwork, leaving her trapped in a Kafkaesque nightmare where answers slipped away like monsoon rain. 2 years passed in numbness. Emily functioned, work, grocery runs, 4 smiles, but didn't live. Her studio remained bare, save for a small altar, Arjun's photo, a white candle, a Ganesha statue he'd given her. Each morning, she lit the candle, whispering, "I miss you," a ritual to anchor her fractured heart. Friends stopped calling, unable to pierce her grief. In 2019, her therapist, Dr. Rachel Lee, suggested a change. "You're stuck, Emily," she said. "A new city might help." A promotion to senior marketing director at Cascade Tech's new Seattle headquarters offered a lifeline. Leaving the studio behind, Emily moved to a Capitol Hill bungalow, its garden a project to distract her. Seattle's fog and Puget Sound's murmur brought cautious healing, a city where she could breathe without Arjun's ghost in every corner. By 2025, at 34, Emily had rebuilt a fragile normalcy. Her role at Cascade Tech demanded precision, crafting campaigns for global clients, her expertise in cross-cultural marketing a nod to Arjun's influence. Colleagues knew her as reserved, efficient, unaware of her past. She kept grief locked away, a private wound. Her bungalow was minimalist, neutral furniture, no photos, but the altar remained a quiet shrine. She'd started small steps, drinks with coworkers, a book club, a hike in the Olympics. Dr. Lee praised her progress. "Closure isn't a door you shut," she said. "It's learning to live with open questions." Emily nodded, but the questions, why Mira had power of attorney, why the case closed so fast, never faded. In spring 2025, a colleague, Priya Gupta, suggested travel. "Vancouver's perfect," she said, her Indian accent stirring memories. "Close, but a world away." Dr. Lee agreed. "Travel shakes us awake." Emily hesitated. She hadn't left the U.S. since Mumbai. But the idea grew, a chance to test her healing. In September, she booked a week at a Vancouver hotel on Granville Street. No plans beyond escape. Crossing the border, her passport in hand, she felt a flutter of nerves. The Canadian officer, a kind woman, asked her purpose. "Vacation," Emily said, the word strange, tinged with guilt. Vancouver greeted her with autumn's glow, maple trees ablaze, the harbor glinting under snow-capped mountains. She wandered Gastown's cobblestone streets, savoring anonymity among tourists and street musicians. On day 2, she visited Granville Island's market, its stalls brimming with fresh naan, artisanal cheeses, and incense that reminded her of Mumbai's bazaars. Sitting by the water, she watched ferries glide, a lightness stirring the first in years. A Hindi-speaking couple nearby, laughing over samosas, sparked memories of Arjun's voice, his playful Marathi lessons. She smiled, bittersweet, clutching his ring. Day 3 brought rain, driving her to the Museum of Anthropology at UBC. Exhibits on cultural displacement, indigenous stories of lost roots, hit close. Arjun, too, had lived between worlds, never fully at home in Seattle. She lingered, her thoughts heavy with his memory. On day 4, a crisp October morning, Emily joined a harbor tour. The boat cruised past Vancouver's skyline, the wind sharp against her face. Tourists snapped photos, their joy a contrast to her quiet reflection. Docking at Canada Place, she followed the crowd to Cole Harbor, its cafes and galleries buzzing. Sipping coffee at a waterfront bistro, she felt alive, connected to the world. Then, her heart stopped. Across the street, a couple emerged from a boutique, laughing. The man, tall, gray at the temples, wore a navy suit. The woman, in a green sari, was Meera Sharma. But was the man who shattered her. Arjun, older, his gait unmistakable, his laugh cutting through the noise. Her coffee cup fell, shattering on the pavement. People stared, but Emily didn't notice. Her eyes locked on Arjun, his broad shoulders, the way he tilted his head, gestures etched in her soul. Meera, elegant as ever, linked arms with him, her bangles glinting. They moved with ease, an established pair. Emily's breath caught, her hand clutching his ring. Was she mad? A doppelganger? Or had Arjun, declared dead 8 years ago, been alive all along? Her mind reeled, replaying Meera's call, the police's report. She stood, legs shaking, and followed at a distance, her marketing brain kicking in, observe, document, analyze. They entered a chic restaurant, and Emily slipped in, taking a bar seat with a view. When Arjun removed his scarf, revealing the scar on his jaw from a college cricket game, her doubts vanished. It was him. For 3 hours, she watched, ordering tea to steady her trembling hands. Arjun and Meera chatted, their intimacy clear, her hand on his easy smile. Emily's heart ached, memories flooding. Arjun cooking biryani, dancing at Diwali. Now, he was here, alive, with Meera, who'd claimed his ashes were in the Ganges. Emily's grief turned to fury, betrayal cutting deep. She snapped discreet photos, noting times in her phone. They left for a gallery, then a boutique, Meera trying on earrings while Arjun nodded approvingly, their familiarity a knife in Emily's chest. By dusk, they climbed into a black Audi, and Emily, in her rental car, followed, her pulse racing. The drive led to West Vancouver's hills, where they stopped at a glass mansion, its garden manicured, driveway gleaming. Arjun opened the door with a key, Meera at his side, as Emily parked, her world unraveling. The truth a shadow she had to chase. The glass mansion at 1247, Chartwell Drive, perched on West Vancouver's hills, gleamed under the September sun, its manicured garden and marble driveway a testament to wealth. Emily Carter, trembling in her rental car, noted the address after trailing Arjun Sharma and his stepmom, Meera Sharma, from Cole Harbor. 8 years ago, Mumbai police had declared Arjun dead in a fiery car crash, his ashes scattered in the Ganges. Yet, yesterday, at a Seattle festival, Emily saw him alive, laughing with Meera, shattering her world. Back at her Vancouver hotel, she Googled the address. Purchased 3 years ago for $3.2 million CAD by Amit Sharma, likely Arjun's alias. Sleepless, she pored over photos. Arjun's familiar gait, Meera's sari glinting, trying to grasp the impossible. By morning, she returned, watching the house from a nearby park. At 10 a.m., Meera left in a black Lexus, leaving Arjun behind. Heart pounding, Emily approached the door, rang the bell, and faced a man she'd mourned for 8 years, his survival a betrayal that demanded answers. Emily's journey to this moment began in Portland, where her quiet ambition led her to Mumbai in 2012, meeting Arjun, a charismatic financial analyst. Their marriage blended Seattle's pragmatism with Mumbai's vibrancy. Bollywood tunes, homemade dal, shared dreams. But tensions with Meera, Arjun's commanding stepmom, and his sudden departure to Mumbai in 2016 for his grandmother's illness strained their bond. His supposed death in 2017 plunged Emily into grief, her Seattle life a hollow routine of work and therapy. Part 2 detailed her shock at seeing Arjun alive in Vancouver, trailing him to this mansion, her marketing mind documenting every detail. Now, standing before the door, she braced for the truth, her hand clutching the wedding ring on its chain, a relic of their love. The door opened, revealing Arjun in a gray sweater and jeans, his hair flecked with gray, eyes still warm but older. For a moment, he didn't recognize her. 8 years had etched lines on Emily's face, her blonde hair now shorter, her frame thinner from grief. Then his eyes widened, color draining from his face. "Emily," he whispered, voice barely audible. "Hello, Arjun," she said, her calmness masking a storm. "You look alive for a dead man." He froze, then tried to shut the door. Emily wedged her foot in. "We need to talk," she said, her voice steel. I don't know what you mean," he stammered. "You're mistaken." She thrust her phone forward, showing a photo from yesterday. Arjun and Meera laughing in Cole Harbor. "No mistake. This is you, 8 years after you burned in Mumbai." His legs buckled, and he leaned against the doorframe, panic in his eyes, the same look he'd had when stressed in Seattle. "Let me in," Emily said, "or I call the police and tell them I found my husband, supposedly dead." Hesitantly, Arjun stepped aside. The house was stunning. Soaring ceilings, abstract art, teak furniture, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the Pacific and North Shore mountains. It was a world away from their modest Capitol Hill apartment, where they'd cooked aloo gobi and danced to Arijit Singh. They sat on opposite sofas in the living room, a glass coffee table between them, its surface reflecting the sunlight. Arjun looked older, but still handsome, his jawline sharp, the scar for a college cricket game still visible. Emily, in her simple jeans and sweater, felt out of place amid the luxury, her heart racing with betrayal and grief. Silence stretched, heavy with 8 years of lies. "Why?" she finally asked, the word a shard of glass. Arjun closed his eyes, exhaling. When he looked at her, tears glistened. "It wasn't planned," he began, voice low. "Not like this." "What wasn't planned?" Emily snapped. "Faking your death? Making me mourn you." He flinched. "Meera and I, we had an affair." The words hit like a punch. "It started after our wedding. I know it's awful, but she understood me, my culture, my roots, in ways you couldn't." Emily's stomach churned. "You were sleeping with your stepmom from the start?" she asked, voice shaking. "Not from the start," he said, eyes down. "It grew slowly. Her visits to Seattle, we talked about Mumbai, family. You were busy with work. We were lonely." Emily stood, pacing the polished floor, her mind reeling. Meera's visits, her sorries, her critiques, the hushed Marathi conversations. Flashback. "So you fake your death to be with her?" "No," Arjun said, standing too, his hands raised. "When I went to Mumbai for Grandma, I was torn. I loved you, Emily, but I love Meera too. Grandma died 3 weeks after I arrived. I was broken. Meera was there, comforting me. We slept together. She got pregnant." Emily froze, the room spinning. "Pregnant?" she whispered. Arjun nodded, face pained. "I couldn't face you, carrying her child." Meera had an idea. A homeless man died in a car crash, unidentified. She had police contacts. They marked him as me, using my passport, my ring. "You passed off a dead man as you," Emily said, her voice hollow. "We thought it'd be temporary," Arjun said. "Meera said we'd tell you later, when the time was right." But it dragged on, became impossible. Emily turned to the window, the ocean a distant blur. 8 years, Arjun. I sold our home, Quit living, spent years in therapy while you lived here in this palace. He stepped closer, voice soft. We didn't plan Canada. After the accident, we hid in a Maharashtra village. Meera arranged new identities, Amit and Meera Sharma. We came here 6 years ago. He paused, eyes distant. The baby, she miscarried at 5 months. It broke us. Did you marry her? Emily asked, dreading the answer. He nodded. 4 years ago, under our new names. Am I paying? She shouted. My 8 years of hell? Did that matter? Arjun's face crumpled. I thought of you every day. I followed your career online, saw you in Seattle. I was glad you were okay. Okay. Emily laughed, bitter. I was a ghost, Arjun, because I thought you were dead. He looked away, guilt heavy. There was insurance money, he said quietly. Emily's blood ran cold. What? Meera took a $2.5 million policy on my life. She said it was for security. I signed, not thinking. After the accident, she cashed it. Emily sank to the sofa, the pieces clicking. The mansion, the Lexus, their wealth. It was her grief, monetized. Where's Meera now? She asked, voice hard. At her real estate office, Arjun said. She'll be back by 6. Emily checked her watch. 2 p.m. I'm staying, she said. The hours crawled. Arjun paced, offering tea, then money, begging her to leave. Meera won't like this, he warned. She gets intense when threatened. Good, Emily replied cold. So do I. As they waited, Arjun revealed more. After the fake death, they hid in a Maharashtra cottage, cut off from the world. Meera laundered the insurance money through offshore accounts, her real estate savvy turning it into millions. New identities, Amit and Meera, came via a forgery ring costing $600,000 for passports, degrees, fake social media. Meera's investments in Canadian startups secured their visas. She studied the system, Arjun said, learned every loophole. We practiced Canadian accents, memorized our backstories. Emily listened, stunned by the calculation, the betrayal. At 5:45 p.m., a car hummed into the driveway. Arjun froze, face ashen. She's here. Emily heard the door open. Meera's voice calling in Marathi, sharp with unease. Arjun replied, his tone strained. Footsteps neared. Meera appeared in the doorway, her silk sari impeccable, her eyes narrowing at Emily. Older, grayer, but still commanding, she wore a gold bangle and a diamond pendant, wealth radiating. Emily, she said, voice calm but edged. This is unexpected. For me too, Emily replied, standing. Since my husband's alive, living with you. Meera's gaze flicked to Arjun, who flinched. What did you tell her? She asked in Marathi. English, Emily cut in. I deserve to hear this. Meera poured a scotch, her movements deliberate, and faced Emily, her eyes cold. You shouldn't be here. No, Emily Carter agreed, her voice steady despite the storm within. I should be in Seattle, mourning my dead husband. Instead, I find him alive, married to you. Quite a plot twist. The glass mansion on West Vancouver's Chartwell Drive, with its marble floors and Pacific views, felt like a stage for this surreal confrontation. Arjun Sharma, her husband, sat hunched on a sofa, his face etched with guilt. Meera Sharma, his stepmom, stood by the bar, her silk sari catching the late afternoon light, her eyes cold as she sipped scotch. 8 years ago, Mumbai police claimed Arjun died in a car crash, his ashes scattered in the Ganges. Emily had mourned him, her life a shadow of grief, until seeing him with Meera at a Seattle festival in September 2025. Part 3 revealed their affair, the fake death, and a $2.5 million insurance payout that funded this luxurious life. Now, facing them, Emily demanded the truth and justice for the years stolen from her. Complicated? Emily laughed, the sound bitter, echoing in the high-ceilinged room. You faked Arjun's death, cashed in on insurance fraud, and shattered my life. I call that criminal. Meera set her glass down, her bangles clinking, her gaze sharp with danger. Careful, Emily, she said, voice low. You're my home, my country. My rules apply. Your rules. Emily shot back. You mean rules of forging identities and stealing millions? Mira's lips curled, a cold smile. Rules of survival, something your sheltered American life never taught you. Emily's anger surged, her hands trembling as she clutched Arjun's wedding ring on its chain. Sheltered? You stole 8 years of my life. I lived in hell while you built this palace. Mira stepped closer, her perfume sharp, her voice emotionless. Arjun was miserable with you. He didn't belong in your sterile Seattle world. He needed someone who understood his culture, his soul. So you stole him, Emily said, turning to Arjun, who avoided her gaze. I saved him, Mira corrected, her tone final. Emily took a step toward her, but Arjun stood, hands outstretched. Please, he pleaded, his voice cracking. No fighting. It won't fix this. He's right, Mira said, retreating to the bar. You're here, Emily. You found us. What do you want? The question hung heavy. Emily's heart raced. Did she want Arjun back? Impossible. He was a stranger now. Revenge? Justice? Answers? I want the truth, she said finally. The whole truth. And I want you to pay for what you've done. Mira laughed, a cold, hollow sound that chilled the room. Pay? We've paid. Arjun can't see his family, can't return to India. We live as Amit and Mira Sharma, trapped in false identities. Isn't that enough? Not for me, Emily said, her voice rising. You live in a multi-million-dollar mansion, drive a Lexus, wear diamonds. I spent 8 years grieving, selling our home, barely surviving. It wasn't meant to hurt you. Arjun interjected, his eyes pleading. We didn't think. You didn't think at all. Emily exploded. You thought only of yourselves. Mira moved to a sleek desk, opening a drawer. Emily tensed, fearing a weapon, but Mira pulled out a tablet. Want to see our price? She asked, tapping the screen. Reports from investigators we hired to watch you. Therapy bills we paid, Dr. Rachel Lee's sessions, covered through anonymous accounts. Emily stared at the tablet. Surveillance photos of her leaving her Seattle bungalow, shopping at Pike Place, working at Cascade Tech. Bills for thousands in therapy, funneled through offshore payments. You spied on me? She asked, stunned. We had to ensure you were okay, Arjun said softly. It was the least we could do. The least, Emily repeated, incredulous. The least was telling me the truth. Mira's eyes hardened. Would you have preferred knowing your husband loved another woman? That he got me pregnant? That your marriage was a mistake? The words struck like blows. Emily turned to Arjun, her voice breaking. Is that true? His silence, his downcast eyes, answered before he spoke. I was young, he whispered. I thought I loved you. But with Mira, it was different. Real. Emily sank to the sofa, the room spinning. 8 years of grief, therapy, a life paused for a love that wasn't real. You never loved me, she said, the realization crushing. It was a cultural misunderstanding, Mira said, almost pitying. You were too American, too rigid for him. Emily's hands clenched, the ring digging into her palm. Not only had Arjun faked his death, but their entire marriage was a lie. What do you want from us? Mira asked again, her tone softer but calculating. Emily looked between them. The man she'd loved, now a stranger, and the woman who'd orchestrated her pain. Justice, she said, voice firm. If you don't confess to the police, I will. Arjun and Mira exchanged a glance, a silent communication honed over years of deception. Emily saw it, the intimacy she'd once thought she shared with Arjun, now theirs. We can't allow that, Mira said slowly, her voice heavy with threat. The air thickened, the confrontation shifting from emotional to dangerous. What's that mean? Emily asked, her pulse quickening. Mira opened another drawer, pulling out a small, sleek pistol. Emily's breath caught. Mira, no. Arjun gasped, stepping forward. This wasn't the plan. There is no plan now, Mira snapped, eyes locked on Emily. She's ruined everything by coming here. Emily raised her hands, mind racing. You're not going to shoot me, she said, voice steady despite fear. That had raised too many questions. Would it? Mira asked, her calm chilling. A grieving American tourist, hallucinating her dead husband, takes her life in Vancouver. A tragic suicide. Mira, Please, Arjun pleaded, his face ashen. She's still your what? Mira cut in sharp. Your wife? You're dead, Arjun. I'm your wife now. Emily watched, seeing the truth. Arjun wasn't Mira's partner. He was her prisoner, trapped in her web. You controlled him, Emily said suddenly. This wasn't mutual. You manipulated him. Mira's smile was ice. Arjun was always pliable. He needed guidance, not your weak American love. You coddled him. I shaped him. I loved him. Emily corrected, her voice fierce. Love weakens, Mira said. Control strengthens. Emily turned to Arjun, huddled on the sofa, tears in his eyes. Arjun, she said gently, you don't have to be her prisoner. Come with me to the police. Mira laughed, bitter. He'll never go. He's as guilty as I am. Not true, Emily countered. She manipulated you, used your guilt. A court would see that. Arjun wavered, his gaze flickering between them. Emily, his past, and Mira, his captor. Mira said, emphasizing his alias. Remember who you are. What you'd lose. Lose what? Emily pressed. A life in a gilded cage, owned by a woman who sees you as property? I gave him everything. Mira exploded. Wealth, security, a new life. Without her, Emily said, you'd be free. Mira's hand trembled, the gun unsteady. Emily saw her chance, stepping closer. You won't shoot, she said, voice calm. You're a businesswoman, not a killer. You solve problems with money, not blood. You don't know me, Mira hissed, sweat beading on her brow. I know you, Emily replied. I watched you undermine my marriage for years. Calculating, controlling, but not violent. She pulled out her phone, the screen glowing. I've recorded this, sent to a friend in Seattle. If I disappear, it goes to the police. A lie, but Mira didn't know. Her eyes widened, panic flickering. You're bluffing, she said, less certain. Emily held up the phone. A recording app open, secretly activated. Try it. See what happens when an American vanishes after finding her dead husband. The moment stretched, taut as a wire. Mira stared at the phone, then Arjun, then Emily, her empire crumbling. Suddenly, Arjun lunged. Enough, he screamed, grabbing for the gun. Mira recoiled, and in the struggle, a shot rang out, deafening in the glass-walled room. Emily froze, heart pounding, as the bullet shattered a vase, shards scattering. She dove at Mira, fueled by 8 years of pain, knocking the gun free. It slid under a sofa. Mira stumbled, and Emily pinned her, adrenaline surging. Arjun, shaken, stood back. Call the police. Emily gasped, holding Mira down. Now! Arjun hesitated, eyes darting to Mira, then Emily. I can't, he whispered. I'm guilty too. You have to, Emily urged. This is your chance to be free. Free? Arjun laughed, bitter. I'm a fraud, a liar. I stole your life. She stole it, Emily said, nodding at Mira. You were her pawn. Mira struggled, but Emily held firm. Arjun sank to the floor, head in hands. I'm not the man you loved, he said. That Arjun died, not in a car, but in her lies. Emily's heart broke, seeing the truth. The man she'd mourned was gone, reshaped by Mira's control. You're right, she said softly, but that doesn't erase her crimes. She grabbed her phone, dialing 911. I'm reporting insurance fraud and identity theft, she said clearly. 1247, Chartwell Drive, West Vancouver. Mira lunged, but Emily stepped back, phone raised. It's over, she said. The next 20 minutes were surreal. Mira sat, defeated, on her sofa, staring at the ocean. Arjun stood by the window, silent, his face a mask of regret. Emily waited by the door, heart steady. I'm sorry, Arjun said finally, not turning. For everything. Me too, Emily replied. I'm sorry you never found yourself. When Vancouver police arrived, Mira and Arjun surrendered, handcuffed as Emily gave her statement, detailing the fake death, the insurance fraud, the forged identities. The investigation would span months, unraveling a web of offshore accounts, fake documents, and Mira's real estate empire. Back in Seattle, Emily sat in Dr. Rachel Lee's office, recounting the saga. The rain outside mirrored her mood, cleansing, heavy. "How do you feel?" Dr. Lee asked. "Empty," Emily said. "But a new empty, like a slate wiped clean. Can you start over?" Dr. Lee pressed. Emily nodded. "I have to. 8 years are gone, but I have more ahead." 6 months later, Mira was sentenced to 15 years for insurance fraud, identity theft, and money laundering. Arjun received 7 years, with parole possible after 4, his cooperation noted. Emily never visited him. She'd set her peace in Vancouver. Her Capitol Hill bungalow bloomed again, her garden a symbol of renewal. She joined a cultural exchange group, teaching Indian traditions to honor Arjun's memory, the man she thought she knew. The husband she loved had died, not in a Mumbai crash, but in Mira's lies. From that loss, Emily built a new life, rooted in truth, ready to live again.